Hi students, welcome to Alphos e-learning chemistry classes for first year. The running chapter is stoichiometry and now we are in session number 16. In previous sessions we discussed about the valency and oxidation state, the third topic of stoichiometry. And valency, just what we are defining valency is the combining capacity of the element. And the combining capacity means the bonding capacity. Bonding means the bonding may be happened either through sharing of the electrons or through transfer of the electrons or shifting of the electrons. In both these two cases we define this valency as the number of electrons contributed for sharing by an elemental atom or the number of atoms that are shifted to the other atom, that is nothing but the number of electrons donated by the atom or the number of electrons accepted by the atom. This is also known as the valency. And you remember, valency in inert gases, valency is 0, and in other cases it is not 0. When any element atom when present in a compound, its valency never be 0. Just you remember. Clear? Even inert gas, because when you are coming to second year, inert gases, some inert gases like xenon can also form the compounds. In such compounds the valency of xenon is not 0. There, when it is combined with other, automatically it is of possessing valency other than 0. Like that, valency is the combining capacity. It is nothing but in terms of the bonding capacity, nothing but the number of electrons contributed for sharing or donating or accepting. Clear? Valency is always positive. It never be negative. It never be fractional. Unlike that of valency, oxidation state. Oxidation state is nothing but just when the elemental atom tend to participate in chemical bond, when it is of shifting the electrons or when it is of sharing the electrons. But sharing, as you know, in your lower classes already you learned that the sharing is of two kinds. One is equal sharing of the electron, the other one is unequal sharing of the electron. In case of unequal sharing, the electrons that are donated or that are accepted, some sort of charge will develop on an elemental atom. Such charge developed, it may be positive or negative depending on the electron migration. That charge which is developed or which is supposed to possess by an elemental atom in a compound is known as its oxidation state. And when oxidation state is concerned, it may be 0 sometimes, and sometimes it may be positive, sometimes it may be negative, even it can also be fractional value, that is plus half or minus half, like that, or minus 1/3, like that. Fractional oxidation state is also assumed. Just it is because nothing but the charge per an atom. The charge per an atom is nothing but oxidation state. Clear? And now in continuation to that discussion, here we are discussing that oxidation state and how to find the oxidation state, what are the rules, and when we are framing the rules here and there, we require the oxidation states of at least few elements. If we know at least few elements oxidation state with respect to or with the help of those oxidation states of the known elements, we can guess the oxidation states of the other unknown elements. And that's why at least a few elements and their oxidation states we should have idea, and how to predict that oxidation state when the element is given. All these we have to discuss in this session. Clear? And now let us go for this oxidation state. Again, oxidation state. What we are defining this is oxidation state, or this can also be considered as oxidation number. You remember, oxidation number. And this oxidation number or oxidation state is nothing but the probable charge. The probable charge on an atom in the given compound, And my dear students, you remember it is a very important topic, and thereby let us discuss thoroughly about each and every term, every concept related to this oxidation state. Just here you observe the probable charge on an atom in the given compound. What does it mean? Just you remember, for the same elemental atom in different compounds, the element will have different probable charge. Let me give one example. Here, say for example, in HClO3, in HClO4, and in HClO2, and in HClO. These are different compounds. That is nothing but oxyacids actually. Okay, you need not worry about that. Just here they are compounds of chlorine, central element chlorine. Clear? And now here the chlorine oxidation state. Now you observe, in this case it is +1. Probable charge in this one is +1, and in this case it is +3. The probable charge on chlorine in this second compound is +3, and in this compound it is +5, and in this compound it is +7. Now you observe the meaning of this. The probable charge on an atom in the given compound, that means compound to compound, even though the same elemental atom is present, this probable charge will differ like this. Here all these are of related to chlorine. They are nothing but the compounds of chlorine, but even then the chlorine is not possessing the same charge. There are different charges in different compounds, is it not? So now in this compound the oxidation state is +1, and in this compound it is +3, and in this compound it is +5, in this compound it is +7. That is the meaning of this. That means in the given compound what is the probable charge? That is nothing but oxidation state. Clear? And now this oxidation state may be 0, positive, negative, or even fractional. All these are possible for this oxidation state, the probable charge. And now coming to analyze what is oxidation state in the given compound, how to find it. Just let us see. In case of ionic compounds, just you can guess the charge on atom, because as we discussed in previous session, here again I am giving the same example like this. Sodium, which is of having atomic number 11 and it is of having 281 configuration. Chlorine, atomic number 17 and it is having the configuration 287. As you know, to get the octet structure, what is octet structure? Possessing 8 electrons in the outermost orbit. Clear? If sodium is releasing this electron, the remaining part, the outermost, will be 8 electrons. And similar to that, chlorine, when it is getting the electron, in addition to this 7, it will get octet structure. Is it not? So in such a case, sodium, when reacts with chlorine, it is donating 1 electron to this. Thereby, when electron donation leads to positive charge, because electron is negative charge possessing, and when negative charge is going out, the remaining is positive charge. So now it is Na plus will appear, and as chlorine is getting that negatively charged electron, it will get minus. Simply here, because of the migration or the transfer of electron, the electron donor will get positive charge, already you know from your lower classes, and the electron gainer will get negative charge. So now here sodium is losing 1 electron, thereby 1 positive charge, and chlorine is getting 1 electron and hence -1 charge. And now let us go for the second element, that is nothing but magnesium. In case of magnesium, it is 12th element, it has configuration 282. And again it is reacting with chlorine, the same 287. Clear? And now magnesium is ready to release 2 electrons, but chlorine, each chlorine atom require only 1 electron. Then what happens? this magnesium can react with two chlorine atoms, thereby releasing the two electrons. Here magnesium will get Mg+2 and each chlorine will get -1 like this. So simply in case of ionic compounds, when electron migrate, we know that electron donor will get positive charge, electron gainer will get negative charge. Simply you remember that charges. Electron loss creates positive charge, electron gain creates negative charge. Clear? And now the magnitude of the charge, how much positive or how much negative charges. Simply it is nothing but depending on the number of electrons that are donated or the number of electrons that are gained. Here sodium is donating 1 electron, hence it is getting +1. Chlorine is getting 1 electron, hence it is getting -1. And in case of magnesium, it is donating 2 electrons. So donation leads to positive, but when it is donating 2 electrons, it will create 2 positive charges. That's why Mg+2. And as usual, chlorine, each chlorine is getting 1 electron, and thereby their charges are -1, -1. And unlike this, if it is of magnesium is donating the electron to oxygen, then oxygen, as we know, oxygen atomic number is 8 and it is of having the configuration oxygen atomic number 8, configuration 2 6. This is oxygen configuration. So when magnesium, which is of having 12 electrons, 2 8 2, when it is donating these 2 electrons to this, what happen? Magnesium donates, it is half O2, donates 2 electrons to this, and then because of donation magnesium will get positive, because of accepting electron oxygen will get negative. Okay, charge sign is ready. And now how much negative, how much positive? It is 2 electrons migrate, so magnesium will get +2. 2 electrons are donated by magnesium and electron donation leads to positive. When 2 electrons donated, 2 positive, and oxygen is getting negative because it is accepting the electron. And how much of negative? Just it is -2. Why? Because one oxygen atom can accept 2 electrons, like that. Now let us consider one more, aluminium. When it is reacting with oxygen, and here each aluminium is of releasing 3 electrons, it can release 3 electrons to this, and totally it is of creating Al+3 and O-2. It can, each aluminium atom will donate electrons and hence positive. How many electrons? 3 electrons, and thereby 3 positive. And each oxygen atom will accept electrons, thereby negative charge. How many electrons accepted? 2 electrons, and hence it is -2. Just you have to, altogether from this what you have to learn is electron donation leads to positive charge, electron gain or electron acceptance leads to negative charge, and the magnitude of the charges depend on the number of electrons. How many electrons it donated, that much of positive. How many electrons it is gained, that much of negative. Are you clear, dear students? Are you clear with this one? And now in case of ionic compounds are nothing but ionic bonds where electron transfer or migration or shifting, whatever it may be, the term you know, you can write, and that migration may create the charge, and simply depending on the number of electrons migrated we can guess the charge. But in case of covalent compounds, here it is a tough job for us to imagine the oxidation number in case of covalent compounds. Why? Because in covalent compounds, as you know, there is no transfer of electron, there is no migration of electron, it is just sharing of electron, and the number of electrons contributed by an atom for sharing is valency, we know, and because of that sharing, how much charge they are getting, that is a big $1 billion question. we have to chase it, we have to analyze it, how to get that probable charge. That's why we define oxidation number as the probable charge on an atom. Clear? And now let us go for this. Here in covalent compounds, we are having these covalent compounds in different, say for example chlorine atom. If we consider the best example, chlorine is having 17 atomic number and its configuration is 287. That means chlorine is having 7 electrons around it like this. And now as we know, as per the octet rule, this chlorine requires one more electron. And now let us imagine one more chlorine atom. This chlorine atom oxidation, that is atomic number is also 17, and it is also having 287, 7 electrons in outermost. It also require one electron to get octet structure, is it not? And now that second chlorine is like this, and it is also having 7 electrons like this. And now what is happening? Already we know, in previous session we discussed, these two tend to share one electron from each atom so as to get 8 electron structure. Now by sharing this electron, this atom is enjoying 8 electrons, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8, and by sharing this electron it is also enjoying 8 electrons, 1 2 3 4 5 6 7 8. Clear? 8 electrons, 8 electrons. There is no shifting of electron like sodium to chlorine. Here just they are sharing. Clear? And now let us go for one more molecule. Here it is hydrogen. It has one atomic number and its configuration is 1, and it tend to get one more electron so as to get helium configuration. Just you remember, that means hydrogen tend to get only one more electron. And chlorine, here chlorine, it is atomic number 17 and it has 287. That means both hydrogen and oxygen, these two are in requisition of one electron each. Here what is happening? Again hydrogen with its one electron is ready to share with chlorine, which is of having 7 electrons in its outermost orbit. And now by sharing this electron pair, hydrogen is enjoying 2 electrons, that is duplet structure, and chlorine is enjoying octet structure. Both these two are sharing the electrons. There is no migration of electron. Clear? And in these two cases, unlike that of sodium and chlorine, where electron migrates from sodium to chlorine, where we can easily assume the probable charge in each atom, here there is no scope. We are not getting any scope to guess the charge, is it not? And then how to find the oxidation number? Finding oxidation number is nothing but probable charges on an atom is nothing but oxidation state, and how to find it. Clear? And now let me explain this. In such a case, I am repeating, in such a case when the electrons are unequally shared, and when the electrons are unequally shared, when the two atoms that participate in sharing are with a different electronegativity. I think you know from your lower classes what is electronegativity. Just for your convenience sake, just let me make you to remember or recollect that electronegativity is nothing but the tendency of an atom to attract the electron towards it. Fluorine is highest electronegative element. Why? Because it is of having the strong tendency to accept the electron. Electron donating tendency is electropositivity. Here we require only electronegativity. Electronegativity is nothing but tendency of an atom to attract the electrons. Clear? And here in this case chlorine is electronegative, that's why it attracts the electron from sodium. Here complete shifting is there, but here there is no such complete shifting. And now when compared to chlorine, hydrogen is less electronegative. Just you remember, this is less electronegative, and this chlorine is more electronegative. And you remember again, electronegativity is nothing but the tendency to accept or to abstract the electron towards it, to attract the electron towards it. Clear? And now, when these two different elemental atoms which are of having electronegativity difference in them, when shared the electron, the charge will be imagined. How? Just you remember, these electrons which are shared by the two atoms are just for our convenience sake are imagined to be completely shifted towards more electronegative atom. Again I am repeating, here we have to imagine that the shared pair of electrons are conveniently, for our convenience sake, is imagined to be completely shifted towards more electronegative atom. Of these two, which is more electronegative? Chlorine. And hence, just for our convenience sake, we are imagining these two electrons shifted to this. Clear? And when electron is shifted with this electron is its own, it is not creating any charge. But this electron, the other electron is from hydrogen. So here hydrogen is loser and chlorine is the gainer. And as we know, loser will get positive charge and gainer will get negative charge. Here, how many electrons it gained? Imaginarily, one electron, because the other electron is from the same chlorine. So we need not consider that one. In addition to its own electrons, how many electrons shifted towards it? One more electron. Thereby it is -1. How many electrons are lost? Imaginarily, how many electrons are lost by hydrogen? One electron. Hence it is +1. Are you following? It is the key point. When electrons are unequally shared, and when the electrons can be unequally shared, just you remember, when the two atoms that participate in chemical bonding or in sharing of the electron are with different electronegativity. One is having more electronegativity and the other one is having less electronegativity. In such a case, we can assume unequal sharing of electron. And such type of unequal sharing of electron leads to polar covalent bond. In your terms, what you learned in lower classes, polar covalent bond, is it not? And now, in such polar covalent bonds where electrons are unequally shared, just we have to imagine the shared pair of electrons are completely shifted towards more electronegative atom. And because of that imaginary shifting, whatever the charges that can be developed imaginarily, that will be the oxidation state. Here, hydrogen and chlorine being the more electronegative atom, we are imagining this electron pair shifted towards it, and thereby it is of getting -1, and hydrogen is the loser imaginarily, and hence it is +1. Clear? Are you clear with this one? This will happen, this imagination could be happen only when the two elemental atoms participate in bonding or in sharing of electron are of having different electronegativities. If they are having the same electronegativities, what happened? Let us imagine here. In this case, electrons are shared, but they are equally shared. Why? Why equal sharing? Can you guess? Because both the two atoms are with same electronegativity. When both these two are with same electronegativity, automatically they are equally shared. No one is gaining, no one is losing. In such a case, how we can imagine the shifting of electron? Is it possible to imagine? No, because if electronegativity difference is there, then we can imagine the shifting of electron towards more electronegative. But here we can't find which is more electronegative because both are equally electronegative. In such a case, we can't shift the electrons imaginarily. And in such a case, if there is no shifting, is there any charge possible? Imaginary charge possible? No. That's why in this case, the oxidation state will be 0. Oxidation state will be 0 in covalent compounds when the electron pairs are shared between the same electronegative atoms, where we can't imagine the shifting of electron. When there is no shifting of electron, there is no charge development. When there is no charge, automatically the oxidation state will be 0. Clear? Like that, in covalent compounds, if it is polar covalent compound, we can imagine the oxidation state. In case if it is non-polar covalent compound, nothing but non-polar covalent bond, we can't imagine, and in such a case oxidation states will be 0. Clear? This is the way how we have to imagine the oxidation states in compounds. And now let us move to the next part, that is nothing but the rules to get the oxidation state of an unknown element in the given compound. The rules, how these rules are useful to find the oxidation state of an unknown element in the given compound. That is nothing but rules to find oxidation number. Rules to find oxidation numbers. Clear? And there are 4 rules. You just remember. There are 4 rules. Let me explain one by one, and we will discuss in detail in the next session. And first of all, you try to understand what is the statement given by each rule. And once you are having thorough idea, once you are understanding thoroughly about that rule, automatically then we can apply that rule concept to find the oxidation numbers of unknown elements in the given compounds. Clear? And now let me give that rules. Rule 1. Rule 1. In elemental state, it is also known as in uncombined state. That means the element is not bonded with any other elements. The elemental state, within the molecule of that element, so many atoms may present, but if the elemental atom is in combination with any other element, then it is known as in combined state. If the element, say for example chlorine can be with other chlorine atom like this, Cl2 or O2 or N2 or S8 or P4, all these are elemental states, because even though they are having 2 or more atoms, all those atoms are from the same element, is it not? This state is known as elemental state. Clear? And for metals also, say for example sodium metal, aluminum metal, potassium metal, like that. In metallic state, metal means when it is not in combination with others, when it is not in that is nothing but in a bonding with other elements, then we can say that it is in elemental state. Clear? In elemental state, oxidation number of elemental atom is 0. Just you remember. S8 sulfur oxidation state 0. Cl2 chlorine oxidation state 0. In O2 oxygen oxidation state 0. In P4 phosphorus oxidation state 0. In sodium metal sodium oxidation state 0. In potassium metal potassium oxidation state 0. Like that, in elemental state the oxidation state is 0. Clear? That is rule number 1. And now let us move to the next rule. For monoatomic ions, mono means 1, just you remember. Rule number 2. For monoatomic ions. Monoatomic means single ion. Say for example Na plus, one atom ion, Cl minus or O minus 2, N minus 3, P minus 3, or Al plus 3. All these are of having only one atom. Ion is nothing but charged species, and when the charged species is having only one atom, it is known as monoatomic ion. Clear with this one? And now for monoatomic ions, oxidation number of elemental atom is its charge. It is very important. In case of Na plus, that is sodium ion, oxidation state of sodium is +1. In case of chloride ion, oxidation state of chlorine is -1. In case of phosphide ion, phosphorus oxidation state is -3. In case of oxide ion, oxygen oxidation state is -2. And in case of nitride ion, nitrogen oxidation state is -3. And aluminum ion, aluminum oxidation state is +3. Like that, all these monoatomic ions, the charge itself is the oxidation state. That is rule number 2. Rule number 1 is in elemental state, that is in uncombined state, the oxidation state of the elemental atom is 0. And in case of monoatomic ions, the oxidation state is nothing but its charge. Clear? And now rule number 3. Let me rub these two and let me write the remaining 2 rules. Rule number 3 and 4, these two are very important, just you remember. Rule number 3. In case of polyatomic ions, polyatomic ions means monoatomic is one atom, but in case of polyatomic ions, more than one atom. Clear? More than one atom is polyatomic. And now in case of polyatomic ions, the sum of oxidation numbers of all elemental atoms is equal to its charge. It is very important rule. First let me write few ions. SO4 minus 2, best example. PO4 minus 3, another example. NO3 minus, another example. These are polyatomic ions. Clear? And in this case, this condition, this rule is nothing but the sum of oxidation states of all these atoms is equal to its charge. Here let us assume, let us consider SO4 minus 2. For your convenience sake, let me give that sulfur oxidation state is +6, just you remember, and each oxygen oxidation state is -2. And now let us sum up this. It is nothing but 6 plus -2 into how many oxygen atoms? 4. So into 4. And now how much this is? It is 6 minus 8. That is nothing but -2. What is this -2? It is nothing but its charge. Just you observe. 6 minus 8 is -2. That is nothing but the charge. Similarly, for phosphorus, it is +5, and for oxygen it is -2. Again +5 plus -2 into 4, that is nothing but 5 minus 8, that is -3. Again this is equal to its charge. And in this case, nitrogen is +5 and oxygen is -2. And now 5 plus -2 into 3, that is nothing but 5 minus 6, that is -1. This is nothing but the charge. That is the rule. Just in this rule, we are going to use this rule in a different manner. Okay, we will discuss about that. First you try to understand this. What is that rule 3? Just it is nothing but in case of polyatomic ions, in case of monoatomic ions, what we are doing? In case of monoatomic ions, the charge itself is its oxidation state. But in case of polyatomic ions, the sum of the oxidation states of all the atoms present in this ion is equal to their charges, is equal to its charge. Clear? That is nothing but rule number 3. And now let us consider rule number 4. In case of polyatomic molecules, in case of rule number 4, in case of polyatomic molecules, polyatomic molecules means more than one atom present in the molecule. In case of polyatomic molecules, the sum of oxidation numbers of all the elemental atoms, is equal to 0. This is rule number 4. Now let us consider. It is Na2SO4, or let us consider one more, K2Cr2O7, or let us consider KMnO4. These are polyatomic molecules. Clear? And now let us consider here sodium oxidation state is +1. For your convenience sake I am giving, and so sulfur oxidation state +6, and each oxygen oxidation state -2. And now let us sum up this. 1 into how many sodiums? 2, plus 6 into 1, plus -2 into 4. This is 2 plus 6 minus 8 is equal to 0. You can observe. Plus 1 into 2, so 2, plus 6 into 1, so 6, minus 2 into 4, because 4 atoms are there, so -8. The sum is equal to 0, is it not? And now in this case potassium has +1 and manganese has +7 and oxygen is having -2 oxidation states. And now let us assume what happened. 1 plus 7 plus -2 into 4, because each oxygen is -2. Totally how many oxygens? 4. So -2 into 4, it is nothing but 8 minus 8, that is nothing but 0. And in this case it is +1, it is +6, and it is -2 oxygen. And now how to consider? 1 into 2 plus 6 into 2 minus, that is plus -2 into 7. Now let us assume 2 plus 12 minus 14 is equal to 0. Like that, in case of polyatomic molecules, the sum of oxidation states of all the atoms, all the elemental atoms, is equal to 0. In case of polyatomic ions, the sum of oxidation states of all the atoms is equal to its charge or their charge. But here there is no charge for this, that's why their oxidation state sum is equal to 0. Clear? And in coming session, with all these, how to find the oxidation numbers when the compound is given, we will discuss. Clear? Thank you.